All right, welcome back, guys. Today we are going to talk about Node.js, and this is the introductory session for people who are well experienced in writing backend services using using languages and platforms like Java and .NET. And what I'm going to show you today is how easy it is to write backend services, be they microservices or regular services, using Node.js. Can everybody see my screen? You can reply in the chat if you are too shy to answer. Excellent. So I hope you can see me switching between a terminal and a browser. You can see the terminal now? Excellent. Thanks. One second. Right, let's get started. So for the purpose of this session, I'm going to assume that you don't know any Node.js. And I'm going to assume you have a rudimentary understanding of JavaScript. So here's how you get started. Very simply, you just go to nodejs.org and download Node.js for your platform. In my case, it's Mac. You might be on Windows or Linux. Download it and install it. And once you do that, you will be able to do this on a command line. You know which node that you're using, tell you the version. After that, you can start using it. So for the purpose of this exercise, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a repository. And after this session, I will share the code with you. New Git repository. I will call it level up Thursday node. Getting started. Getting started with node is for Java and .NET developers. And it's public. And let me add a README. And the gitignore file and the gitignore file I'm going to choose for is the platform is Node. I will explain that a bit later. Create repository. And I am going to clone it. ed or this is where I keep all my source code. dir level up Thursdays. Oh, it's already there. And git clone. Right. Let's go in there. Right. Creating a node application is as simple as this. I will create a new directory for this. mkdir hello. This is the first exercise. I will just create a file called hello.js. Now you can use any editor you want. Since I'm very used to the terminal, I'm using terminal and vi. So you can just type console.log hello world. It's as simple as that. And to run it, node, that's it. So that's obviously too simple. But now let's try to write a service. I'll call it number 2, hello service. And I'll remember rename the first one. mv hello 201 hello. Okay, there we go. 02. Now, if you know something about Node, you will know that JavaScript before Node, which is 2009, JavaScript was only available on the browser. There was no JavaScript outside of the browser. So in 2009, a guy named Ryan Dahl decided to take the engine, the JavaScript engine that powers the Google Chrome browser, which is called the V8 engine. And he stripped out all the browser related stuff from that and created what we know as Node today. So Node doesn't have any access to the browser related things like the document is not there, the window is not there. All you have is backend stuff. And as a backend environment, a Node application is only as useful as the communications it can do. So the best way for a service to communicate is obviously over HTTP. So the most valuable use case of Node applications is writing HTTP services. Although there are others like command line as well. So today we are going to look at writing services. All right. So at this point, if you're studying Node.js in some other tutorial, this is where they will introduce a framework like Express. Or some people will tell you use Core. Some people will tell you to use Harpy or some other weirdly named framework like that. So if you want to learn about those, you can just do a Express node. And it will tell you about the Express framework. And it will tell you how to get started, installing it and using it. But really, guys, if you're getting started with a programming language or a platform, don't start here. Don't start with the frameworks. Try to get started with the core modules only. Now, JavaScript has a bunch of Node has a bunch of core modules. Now, one of those core modules is called the HTTP module. And if you want to learn about what the other core modules are, go to Node, go to Documents, and this is the current stable version. You go there, and these are the core modules. And the module that you are interested in today is called HTTP. And obviously, there's a certain amount of reading to do. You can either go through this, or one resource that I love using a lot is this one, devdocs.io. If you go to, I'll start from the beginning. And here, you have a lot of things you can search for Node. Let's say if you want to learn about Node HTTP module, it's a very fast interface. Not just Node, but there are so many other things you can learn here. Here I can go to CSS. CSS is there. If I want to learn about C++, that's also there, right? So I'll go back to Node. Okay, so what we want to do is write a simple server. Excuse me. Let's get started with that. I am going to call this file. Actually, let me do something first. Let me commit the work that I did before. Git status, git add. Okay, git commit -m, a very basic command line, hello world. Now do a git push. Right, now let's go to exercise number 2. And I'm going to try to write a service. And by convention, the starting point is called index.js. First thing you need to do is you need to import the module that you're going to use. Let me do that first. So in JavaScript, you can use the require function and to give the name of the module. Now, unlike in other languages, here's something interesting about JavaScript. When you import something, it doesn't pollute the namespace of that module. So think of this file as the module, and you can assign it to a variable like this. So everything that you get into this module has to be required like this. In JavaScript, especially in the Node environment, there are only a very small number of globals. For example, you have the process. You can do this console.log. If you do process.args, that will give you the command line arguments. And there are a few other globals like that. But except for those few globals, everything you need to use inside this module or the file, you have to import in this manner. And you can give it an explicit name like this. So that's what I have done here. Next thing you have to do is you can use the HTTP module. There are functions in it. How do you find those functions? Go to the documentation again. And I can do this since I know the function. Create server. And read about how to use this. And there are some examples as well. But since I know it already, and in the interest of time, I'll just quickly write it. So how to create a server, HTTP server in Node is very simply create server. And here's the interesting part about JavaScript again. If you're familiar with JavaScript, this will come easily. If it doesn't, keep doing this, you'll get used to this. I'm going to create an anonymous function. This is actually a function. So this is the same as type in this. So as you can see, we have created an anonymous function and passed it to the create server function. So what you see, this arrow notation is the same thing, just a way of defining the function. So it might look weird, but if you're not familiar with JavaScript, it might look weird, but get used to it. It's very easy after you get used to it. Okay, so what does this function do? It takes on two parameters, request and response. So this function is the function that gets called when a request comes to the server. And what you want to do is you want to send a response. How do you do that? You can do this response.write hello world. I'll put a inline character there as well. And then you have to end the response. End. Why do you have to do that? You can read it here. Response dot. If you want to read about end, it's all here. Response dot write. Again, you can read about it here. For now, I'll just demonstrate. So now you created a server object, but now you have to start it. So I will save this to a variable here. Const server dot listen, and as a parameter you pass the port. So I'm going to start this on port 4000. Let's see if I made any errors. Require http.create server. There's a mistake here, capital. Create server, request response function. Actually I named this variable res. So now you can see the value of actually checking your code before you write it. Always do a once over of the code, line by line. Response.write, string, end, server.listen, 4000. Let's run that and see. To run that, simply node index.js, and it's running. Let's see if it works. Localhost. There you go. It works. So that's all it takes to write a simple HTTP server, guys. And to stop, I'll hit Control C, and I'm going to commit this as well. Git status, git add dot status, okay. Git commit minus step to a very simple HTTP server and git push. Let's say you want to send headers with this HTTP headers. I'm going to modify this. Sorry, 4202 index.js, and you can learn about it here. There's a function called write header, and there's a nice example here as well. And when you look at this example, you see you can send a body also in the response if you want. So let's use this. I'm going to send the HTTP core 200 response with some sort of header. Let's say a standard header, response.write head, HTTP response core 200, and an object containing all the headers. And the headers are going to be, let's say, a common one, content type, text, plain. Give me 1 second till I see whether anybody has asked any questions. Chat. No, great. Okay, let us continue. Again, I'm going to do a once over to see if I have made any mistake. Response, right head, 200, right. Let's run this again. Node, index.js. Now, obviously, if I do it here, you won't see it in the content area, but if I open the inspector, I should be able to see this. Network, and actually, you know what? I hate these browser things. I will do it this way. While it is running, I'm going to do this. I am going to run this in the background. Now it's running. I'm going to send a curl. Curl minus, I think this is include headers, the command. http:// localhost 4000. There you go. The same thing. You got the 200 response and my header is there. And great. Now I need to kill this process. Kill -9. Great. Any questions up to that? So you can see the number of lines of code that was needed to do this, right? Okay, I will add that to git add dot git status git commit -m sending headers git push. All right. Now this is not how you normally write it. This is how you do it under the hood. But let's say if you are really doing an application, here's what you do. The mkdir 03 express using the framework. pd 03. Right. Now here's what you have to do. Now, if you're writing applications in Node, you need to use third-party libraries. And if you want to use third-party libraries, you have to use NPM or the Node Package Manager. And in order to be able to use Node Package Manager, you need to initialize your project as a Node project. So to do that, once you install Node, you will also get this command, npm, Node Package Manager. So to initialize a directory with Node Package Manager, you have to use npm init. And it will ask you a bunch of questions. Package name, default, version, default. Not going to add any descriptions, none of that, none of that. Is this okay? Yes. So what this function does, this command does, is it simply creates a file called package.json in your directory. You look at the package.json, there's nothing much there, the same data that you entered. But I will show you what happens as we run further commands. Now let's say you want to use the Express framework, which is also available as a Node package. Where do you find Node packages? Go to npmjs.org or .com. Anything you want to find, it's here. So Express also, Express framework is here, and you can read all about it. What happened here? Express. Right. Fast, unopinionated, minimalist web framework for Node, how to use it, everything is there. So here's how you install it. Any package you want to install, npm install, and you need to say save so that it will save it to the package.json and the name of the library, the module. Npm install minus minus save express. And what this command will do is it will download the npm package from npm registry, which is npm.js, npmjs.com. And you will find that code under node modules here. You can go inside node modules and you can see all the dependencies that are required by Express, including Express, is there. But the important thing to remember is this node modules is not something that you should check into your repository. That's something that you should install at runtime or development time. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to include this in the git ignore. Git ignore node modules. You should never check that into your repository. But let's check the package.json now. Now you'll notice a change. Now when you say in npm install minus minus save, it saves the fact that this project requires Express under dependencies. Right. So we have done that. Next, we want to use this. Here's how we do that. Again, I'm going to create a new index.js. Now what am I going to do? Now I am going to use Express instead of the built-in HTTP core module. Same thing. Const Express equals require the Express module. And after that, how you use Express, if you want to learn about that, obviously go here, getting started guide. It will tell you all the stuff that I've already explained, how to install, all that is there. And if you really want, the guide is there and also the API reference is there. Express the methods, application methods, request method, response method, all that is there. So I'll leave you to figure that out, but I'll give you the demonstration right now. Here's how you create an Express application. This Express, what is exported by Express is actually a function. So you run it. That creates your Express application. And now you can define routes. For a get route, you can use get, post, put, anything like that. So let's create a route for get for the route. And again, what you pass into this is a function. So you can either write the function like this, or you can write it like this. But my preferred way is this. And this too takes a request, and a response. If you really look inside the Express framework code, you'll notice that underneath it's actually using the core module HTTP. Now here it's a bit easier. All you have to do is rest.send hello world. And now you have to start the server app.listen, and you need to give a port. Again, I will say port 4000. Let's try that. Give a once over for the code, import express, create function, register the get root route with this function, response.send. Okay, node index.js. Yeah, that also works. And let me commit that. So as you can see, I have ignored the node modules. The package.lock.json is a thing that I won't explain right now. You can Google for that. Git commit -m, a simple HTTP server using Express framework. Okay, so that's it. That's all it takes. So if you look at this, wc-l, I'm doing a line count, index.js. 9 lines to create an HTTP server. That's all you need. And there's a lot more you can do with this. I'm not going to cover it. So you can expect post bodies. You can handle JSON. You can handle all kinds of request parameters. All that is possible. So I'm going to leave it up to you to figure out and go through this. All the information is here. Yeah, that's it. So it's as easy as it looks. Okay, any questions, guys? Feel free to ask on chat. Okay, great. Okay, guys, thanks for joining. And I will try to create a video of this thing and try to put it up on our YouTube channel. If not, I will share the source code as a GitHub URL in the meetup page. Okay, everyone. See you hopefully next week. Bye.